All right, a very good morning and a bright one indeed for Kenyans celebrating the wins at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. This is a morning cafe. We're here to start up your day and brighten it up the best way we know how. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Karibu sana.
How hot is your coffee this morning? It is the 19th. Is it 18th?
18th.
18th day.
Unapeleka mbele.
Time, you know we are counting down to Christmas. It's
Oh
like
yes.
96?
98 days to Christmas. Tutaendelea hivi and we are not skipping even a single count.
Hata unaona nisha push to 96 because today is not even Friday.
Usiwe na haraka sana.
Lakini it's pre-Friday. My name is Ann Odida. Karibu sana.
All right, it is also the International Equal Pay Day, meaning ile pesa unalipwa ninafaa kulipwa. Nitaenda kwa HR, wanakulipa pesa mingi mimi hawajanifikishia hapo. Because wanasema it's between the genders. International Equal Pay Day. Why are some genders paid more than others for the same amount of work?
Yes. Very good question.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good question, and we will ask it again tukimaliza show.
Let's take a look at the dailies this morning. Queens of the track, and I think this is a most appropriate headline to have. We have all the queens of the track. Jepchirchir, Kipyegon, Chebet, Cherotich. They're on the front page of the Daily Nation.
The Standard, the Shylock economy.
Kazi au siasa ni swali kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo.
People Daily, Gen Zs could still vote along tribal lines in 2027.
Niko sure hataki kuambiwa hivyo, lakini kama ni kweli tufanye nini? Governors to face EACC over dubious county hustler funds. Interesting.
And finally, Business Daily, fake 39 billion shilling supplier bills exposed in City Hall audit.
All right, those are the dailies locally, and we'll be discussing some of those with our panelists this morning. Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist, or educator and a unionist as well. Dr. Peter Mbaye, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP, and Josphat Kamanya, political analyst, will be in studio starting at 6:30 this morning. Do stand by for that. Later on,
today being a Thursday, we are talking matters health. We'll be speaking to Dr. Harrison Barry, a resident doctor at SCG Cancer Center, about prostate and colon cancer in men.
All right.
Yep.
That coming here at 8 a.m. Tuvuke border tuingie Uganda, wanasema nini? Daily Monitor, URA tightens news on churches and NGOs. That's the equivalent of KRA. Watu hawajalipa taxes. Matters of dilemma. The auditors say churches and NGOs are mandated to collect and remit payee, NSSF, and withholding tax to AURA, because some of them, even churches, are employers. But they do not, and use the money, accumulate penalties, and divert funds meant for donor projects to offset the crisis. Yeah. For payee and withholding tax, all churches are supposed to pay if they have the qualifications. For payee, they should have employees that earn above 235,000 Ugandan shillings. For withholding tax, they should be agents, and the suppliers should have supplied goods above 1 million Ugandan shillings. So the revenue collector in Uganda, anasema makanisa na NGOs, non-governmental organizations, have been avoiding paying and remitting, withholding tax, and pay as you earn. Vehicles for 2026 polls arrive at EC, that's the Electoral Commission. Some of the vehicles that government purchased for EC commissioners ahead of the 2026 general election at the Electoral Commission in Kampala yesterday. The government also bought pickup trucks for escorts of presidential candidates. You remember we were talking about this about Tanzania, that each one of there's still 17 presidential candidates. They should be 18, lakini kuna mmoja bado ako na shida. They're each been given this kind of vehicle, a V8, to campaign by the Electoral Commission. After that, after the campaigns warudishe. Sasa unasikia Uganda, this one is not for candidates, ni ya electoral commissioners. Lakini the candidates wanaprovidiwa kila mtu nini? One pickup truck to escort them. Umewaiona hiyo hapa Kenya?
I'm still loading.
All right. That's the Daily Monitor. Matters, elections and revenue collection. Concern over rampant child marriages in Nakapiripirit. I think huko ni karibu na Turkana. Primary schools to teach in local languages. Wow. A study conducted by the National Curriculum Development in Uganda, in different regions of Uganda, has recommended the adoption of 22 local languages as a medium of instruction at lower primary level. Now that's a new one that if we tried here in Kenya, it would actually be a game changer.
Local languages in your mother tongue.
Si ndio?
Sisi tulifunzwa.
Ulifunzwa na local language?
Yes, no, like
No. Wanasema primary schools to teach in local languages. Sasa wewe ufunzwe na ile lugha ya mama.
Nilifunzwa class 1 to 3. I speak very good Luo, by the way. It was taught Luo.
No, you were taught Luo or they used Luo to teach you mathematics?
No, there was a unit called Luo.
Now they're saying they should use local language to teach in primary schools. So hata hesabu unafunzwa na Luo. 1 + 1 ungesema?
Achiel plus achiel.
Plus. Pale juu, could this be the end of Besigye's political career? His party yesterday officially withdrew from the elections of 2026. So questions are swirling over the political future of Uganda's opposition's doyen and 4-time presidential candidate, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. Could it be the end of his political road and a newfound political formation closely associated with him? The PFF declared it would not front a presidential candidate in the January 2026 election. So ni kama throw in the tile, amesema imekuwa too much. I need to live my life sasa. All right, that's a Daily Monitor.
Still in Uganda, new vision, details of new government structure and move expected to improve turnaround time in decision making. Yesterday we talked about some changes that were going to be made and top positions and top government seats in Uganda. That story is continuing on this newspaper on page 3. Muhoozi in China for high-level military engagements. This is the Chief of Defense Forces in Uganda, General Kainerugaba Muhoozi. And Museveni welcomes 3 new ambassadors. Why CA delegates rejected a state religion. Parties meet to discuss iPod funding. NUP not invited.
All right.
That's the new vision.
So matters politics still getting prominence in Uganda, but ni preparations to the elections next year. But in Tanzania, siasa zimenoga. Wanasema on the Citizen, Samia's peace message ahead of general election. Chama cha Mapinduzi Union President candidate and incumbent Samia Suluhu Hassan yesterday appealed Tanzanians to uphold peace and stability as the nation heads towards the October 2025 general election, stressing that violence undermines democracy and development. Remember, it's only a month and a week to the election date in Tanzania. And she's quoted here saying, I honestly request that we maintain peace and stability. Elections are not war, but an act of democracy. Taking up arms does not always bring solutions. Peace and stability are especially important during elections. Now, she was speaking yesterday in Unguja. CCM Union presidential candidates here akiongea na former Zanzibar First Lady Fatma Karume during her campaign rally in Unguja yesterday. Alikuwa kwenye kisiwa cha Unguja. Meanwhile, Zanzibar targets regional trade gateway status. Zanzibar is fast-tracking major port infrastructure projects, including upgrades at Malindi Port in Unguja. So they have a Malindi Port in Unguja. And expansions of Fumba and Wete ports in Pemba to transform the isles into a regional trade gateway. How Tanzania can give its STEM drive fresh impetus, and that's matters education. Pale juu LATRA rolls out vehicle tracking for commuter buses. A lot of politics on the front page of the Citizen.
Gazeti la Mwananchi, Samia atoa mwelekeo mpya Zanzibar, asisitiza amani, umoja kwa Watanzania ni muhimu kuliko vyote, ahidi kulinda tunu za muungano, Daktari Migiro agusia maridhiano. Othman anavyokata maji mtaa kwa mtaa kusaka kura. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 6 wa gazeti hili. Kwa mara nyingine Samia Suluhu amenukuliwa hapa akisema sio muda wote kushika silaha kunaleta suluhisho. Niwaombe sana ndugu zangu, amani na utulivu wa nchi yetu ni jambo la muhimu kuliko vitu vyote, hasa wakati huu wa uchaguzi. Masuala ya siasa pale. Kwa heri iliyojaa simanzi, the 4 nuns who died have been laid to rest. Mke wa marehemu Sofia Kagi akiweka mchanga katika kaburi la mume. This is different kwenye mazishi yaliyofanyika eneo la Kange Kasera jijini Tanga. Lakini the story about the nuns is here on the top strip. 4 nuns killed in Mwanza Road crash to be buried in Dar today. That is today. Uzinduzi rasmi wa uuzaji wa hati fungani ya Stawi. That is Stawi.
Any bond hati fungani.
Hati fungani. Stawi bond. That's another story there. On the top strip, safari ya maisha na kichungaji ya Askofu Rugambwa ni aliyekuwa balozi wa Papa afariki dunia akitibiwa kule Roma. Askofu mwalimu wake, padri rafiki yake wazungumzia walivyomfahamu Rugambwa. Gazeti la Mwananchi, those are the regional dailies.
All right, we'll be back to take a look at the local ones in a short while. For now, let's take a look at the weather situation across the country. And we start off in, let's start off in Lamu, the south, the coastline. And it looks like it's going to be a cloudy, mostly cloudy day with a bit of rainfall. 20%, 30% chances of rainfall, highs of 29 degrees. It's quite hot even as we speak, 25 degrees. 1.4 millimeters, so ni ile kuna joto lakini bado kuna manyunyu hapa na pale. It's these highs will maintain Thursday and Friday, highs of 29, and then it starts cooling off over the weekend as we get into next week. Ifike 27 degrees, the highs. That's the coastal strip in Lamu. 20 areas around Mount Kenya region, Nyahururu.
13 degrees in Nyahururu this morning feels like it. It's a mostly cloudy day as well. Highs of 24 degrees. Precipitation in Nyahururu today 0.3 millimeters.
Up north in Marsabit, it's quite warm as well. 22 degrees as we speak, feels a bit hotter at 25. It's mostly cloudy. Chances of rainfall kidogo hapa na pale, but highs of 31 to be recorded in Marsabit today. Mvua 1.3 millimeters, more or less what we've seen in Lamu, because chances are 40% and basically during morning hours. This will cool off into the weekend, 29, 30, but then fika Sunday, it will be a proper Sunday at 32 degrees in Marsabit.
All right, weather in Nakuru, 13 degrees, kama vile was it in Nyahururu. Mostly cloudy day, highs of 25 degrees. Precipitation here today, 0.4 millimeters. Hiyo ni showers kidogo sana from 10 a.m.
All right. Tuangalie kule areas around Lake Victoria region in Kisumu. It's also warm this morning, 19 degrees. Promises to be a cloudy day, especially during morning hours, to give way to some sunshine and a bit of cloud cover. Highs of 29 degrees, which is also very warm. This is just like what we've seen in Lamu. Very little chance of rain, 0.8 millimeters precipitation.
Finally, weather in Nairobi this morning, it's around 16 degrees.
16 is quite warm.
Ni mara ya kwanza ninaona hii.
Kuna joto ya.
It's a cloudy day, highs of 26 degrees today. Precipitation in Nairobi 1.8 millimeters. Wanasema kutakuwa na showers kidogo up until 1 p.m. from 7 a.m.
All right. So yeah, generally it's a bit warmer. Yesterday was the warmest at 27 degrees. So today it will cool off kidogo to 26, and this will sustain into next week. So that's it. Weather situation across the country, very little chance of rainfall in most parts. Let's take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi. It's 6:15, and the roads are getting busy as we speak. Those using Outer Ring Road, yes, expect some traffic at further Tasia along Outer Ring Road, and tunaona pale at a stretch of red at Pipeline. Jogoo Road as well at Makadara, it's building up slowly, but then eases off after the Likoni Road junction. City Stadium roundabout is good as you get into Muthurwa and Machakos bus station. Hata pale Marikiti ni kama leo wamechelewa kidogo, but a bit of traffic around the railways roundabout in town. Kangundo Road, nothing much to report there. Thika Road is also good this morning all the way from Ruiru, only getting to that bottleneck at Pangani Interchange. Hiyo ni kama kawaida. Kiambu Road with the same fate this morning. Other major roads on the other side of town, Mombasa Road looking good all the way from the airport into the CBD. Wayaki Way 2, green all the way. And all these major roads on this side, Ngong Road, Langata Road and Southern Bypass, nothing to report from there. So it's an easy traffic morning today, nothing to worry about. If we get time, we might revisit this probably at 1:30.
All right, let's have the quote of the day.
Your life is your story, and the adventure ahead of you is the journey to fulfill your purpose and potential. Do not let fear write your story for you. Instead, let courage, passion, and perseverance guide your pen.
All right, we'll start off with the Daily Nation today, and the Daily Nation has decided to pay tribute to the champions and heroines of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Queens of the Track is a big headline there. Kenyan stars line up for 5,000 meters hits today, with duo vying for double gold as well. World beaters, brilliant Kenyan girls. And they say this for a reason because, okay, fine, yesterday we got one bronze medal from a Kenyan male athlete. But it's been just a female festival for the Kenyan athletes. Brilliant Kenyan girls conquer the track in Tokyo to place the country second on the medals table with 4 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze at the ongoing World Athletics Championships. The Kenyan stars are promising more podium finishes to keep the national flag flying high. And so there they have Peres Dipchirchir, who added the marathon world champion title after beating Ethiopia's Tigst Asefa. Faith Kipyegon, mwenye 1500 meters tulisema iwachiwe tu iandikwe Faith Kipyegon race. Beatrice Jepet blazed a victory in the 10,000 meters race. And Faith Cherotich, Olympic bronze medalist, upstaged the world to win the 3,000 meter steeplechase in record time. It's the same story that continues on the back page. World record within reach, says champ Cherotich. Lakini hapa wanaonyesha Portugal's Isaac Nader crossing the line with win of 1,500 meters finals ahead of second placed Britain's Jake Whitman. And third placed Kenya's Reynold Cheruiyot, who I think is the only male athlete who's given as a medal in Tokyo. Other stories given prominence back on the front page. There's an autobiography there by Francis Okomo Okello. Meanwhile, Mombasa commuter rail link to the SGR. Kenya Railways expects to serve at least 1,000 passengers daily, with fares set at 50 bob compared to 350 to the 1,000 charged by taxi operators. This will be a game changer for those using SGR from Mombasa. Now you don't have to be in traffic for long, moving from town or wherever you are to the SGR terminus. You can use the commuter train from Mombasa city straight there. Pale juu, KenGen targets 1,500 megawatts extra power and a 10-year, 555 billion shilling mega plan. And cabinet secretaries on early campaign trail, and this is a story we'll be discussing. Several ministers are openly dabbling in partisan politics, raising questions about devotion to their duties, service delivery, and value for taxpayers. That story is on pages 4 and 5. The Daily Nation today.
All right, let's take a look at the Standard this morning. It speaks about Shylock economy, predators, harsh economic times and bank credit denials have driven Kenyans into backstreet borrowing, fueling a Shylock economy that is pushing households to ruin. Victims of predator lenders forfeit assets, skip meals, battle depression, and in some cases, take their own lives. Surveys show women disproportionately skipping meals, while non-performing loans hit 697 billion shillings, with banks favoring government lending, and regulated digital credit has filled the gap. Quick but crippling, trapping millions in endless cycles of debt. This story has been covered on page 6 and 7, and the people quoted here. The civil servant by the name Masinjeri, and she says, "My salary is gone before I even receive it. I'm just taking one loan to pay another, and it's a living nightmare. They threaten you, they call you friends, they have no mercy." Ian Njoroge, independent analyst, says what we are seeing is the emergence of a Shylock economy, a financial ecosystem where desperation drives demand and predatory lenders fill the void left by a formal banking sector. A borrower says, "I pray to God to forgive all those who conned me. I don't want to talk much about it because I also went into depression." And a FinAccess survey report of 2024 said strategies in resolving household indebtedness in 2024 included cutting down on other expenses, ran down savings, looked for additional work or business, and took another loan to repay. Shylock economy. Last week I told you something about a mobile lending app where you're giving the money in Kenyan shillings and you pay back in dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can
And
take.
you know, there was a slight shift in the dollar exchange rates.
Yeah.
So you can't predict how much you'll pay back.
I saw somebody say alikopa 10,000 Kenyan shillings and she had to pay back around 240,000 Kenyan shillings. So Shylock economy, and this is a crisis.
This is indeed a crisis.
All right, let's take a look at the inside pages, and due to the interest of time, we do it very fast. Learning in university paralyzed universities as dawn staff strike over arrears. Pain and fury as lawyer Mbobu is buried amid call for speedy probe. Juzi journalists walikataza kuingia huko. I don't know if yesterday they went. The widow says the family is devastated by the untimely death of the lawyer, and politicians urge authorities to investigate the murder and punish culprits as well. Ongoing audit reveals billions lost on more than 50,000 ghost learners, and PSP talk says audit on 60% of schools revealed inflated numbers, and ongoing verification shows 5 billion shillings may have been lost in 3 years. On the back page of this newspaper, small Faith, quote unquote, eats bread from the sweat of her brow. This is Kenya's Faith Cherotich as she celebrated winning gold medal in 3,000 steeplechase yesterday. She defeated the former winner, that is Winfred Yavi. She's also Kenyan, but runs for Bahrain. That's the Standard. All
right, and just an update on the World Athletics Championships, today's program. Kenyan time at 1:05 p.m. The women's 5,000 meters hits will have Faith Kipyegon, Beatrice Chebet, Margaret Akidor, and Agnes Jebet Ngetich. Meanwhile, for the javelin finals, and this is a big one because Julia Siego is there, 1:23 p.m. Julia Siego. 1:58 p.m. women's 800 meters hits Mary Mora, Vivian Chebet, Lilian Odira, and Sarah Mora. And then 3:45 p.m. the men's 800 meters semi-final, where we'll be represented by Emmanuel Wanyonyi, Kelvin Kimtai, and Nicholas Kabene. Something to look forward to from Tokyo, Japan. We'll move on to Taifa Leo. Anasema kazi au siasa ni swali tu. Mawaziri na maspika wa bunge watumia muda na rasilimali nyingi kwa vikao vya umma. Katika hatua zinazoonyesha wazi ukaidi wa kanuni za kimsingi na maadili, mawaziri wamekuwa wakizunguka maeneo mbalimbali wakijihusisha na siasa za chama, huku wakifanya kampeni za kumuunga mkono Rais William Ruto kuwania tena urais mnamo mwaka 2027. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili, na wameweka pale mawaziri kadhaa ambao wanasemekana wamejihusisha na masuala ya siasa. Kuna ule waziri wa ardhi na nyumba Alice Ng'ang'a. Anaitwa Alice nani?
It's not Ng'ang'a though.
Alice, yes. Waziri wa afya Eden Duale, waziri wa Alice Wahome, yes. Konradhi. Waziri wa usalama wa kitaifa Onesmus Murkomen na waziri wa fedha John Badi. Hawa ndio wale wanaenda wakizunguka wakisema tutam, lakini badala ya kufanya kazi. Uzinduzi wa reli, tumezungumzia haya kule Mombasa. Rais William Ruto akipongeza wenyekiti wa bodi ya wakurugenzi wa Kenya Railways, alikuwa akizindua ile reli ambayo inatoka kwenye Mombasa Island inaenda pale SGR na inamalizia Miritini. Kona za walala hoi zaongezeka, ni vidokezo zaidi. Waonekana walaza damu jijini, kumbe ni wahitimu wa vyuo vikuu wahandisi waalimu. Hawana kazi na washahitimu, wako na degree na shahada tofauti lakini hawana kazi. Kwingineko, rais atakiwa kumfuta kazi Oparanya. Makundi ya kijamii yasema Oparanya hafai kushikilia afisi ya umma. Pale juu Murkomen anataka raia kuchotea polisi ya mafuta. Very controversial statement. Alisema askari wakiitisha pesa ya mafuta, hiyo sio hongo. Hiyo sio hongo. Kama hawana mafuta, wanunulie mafuta. Waziri asema polisi hawatekelezi kosa lolote kuomba pesa za kununua mafuta kutoka kwa Wakenya.
Now imagine wenye kuomba itapanda.
Cherotich naye asema ni dhahabu. Faith ashinda mbio za mita 3,000 kuruka viunzi na maji na kutoa dhahabu. Taifa Leo.
People Daily, Gen Z could still vote along tribal lines in 2027, an analysis and special feature by this newspaper. Analysts caution politicians may lead young people to ethnic voting blocks. 2027 polls matters tribalism, hapo kwa hot fire, lakini wanasema this is a tribeless generation and leaderless as well. That story is on page 4. Other quick stories here. President Ruto's dance with entitlement. Very powerful statement as well. Page 5.
They're accusing him of being too entitled.
Why students are opting out of public universities. Wanaenda wapi? Private universities. Oh, interesting. Another analysis on page 2. That's the People Daily.
From the People Daily to the Star, and they talk about governors to face ESCC over dubious county hustler funds. That's the main story on pages 4 and 5. They say billions advanced under empowerment funds and recovered. There's been a lot of focus on what's happening at the national level with the hustler fund, the empowerment rallies. Kumbe governors are doing something similar at the county level, and hatuja notice. Chunga sana. Meanwhile, Wanga on the sporters' wage bill jumps by 400 million shillings. Auditor fingers 50,000 ghost students in online system. So, kuna ile pesa hata kidogo inaenda kwa shule, inaendea ghosts. 50,000, can you imagine 50,000 times 22,000? Ile capitation. Okay, fine, iendangi 22. Na kwa sahi ni 15. But times 50,000, that's a lot of money. Yep. Still on matters education, learning disrupted university as dons begin nationwide strike. And they also make mention of the triumphs in Tokyo. Golden moment. Cherotich secures World 3,000 meter steeplechase title in championship record. Those are the stories. And of course, William Ruto commissioning the 6 billion shilling Mombasa commuter rail, which will be a game changer for those using the SGR and those traveling to Meritini. Finally, Business Daily.
Now, fake 39 billion shilling supplier bills exposed in City Hall audit, and City Hall has purged that much, 39.8 billion from its stock of pending bills, following an audit exposing possible fake supplies that have previously cost Nairobi County billions of shillings. Now, the Controller of Budget reckons that there is an unexplained drop in Nairobi's supplier arrears from 121.8 billion shillings to 86.8 billion shillings over the year to June, reflecting a 32.7% reduction. This story is on page 2. You can take a look at it. Tribunal Capital Markets Authority has no powers over boardroom selection. Another story on page 2. The plan for sustainable energy on the ticker, Kenya to add 53 megawatts cheaper geothermal power in 2026. CEOs risk 7-year jail employment ban in terror financing fight. Chief executive officers and senior managers face up to 7 years in jail, a ban from employment and deregistration of their firms, and a new guidelines aimed at fighting terrorism and weapons financing. Finally, investors save 30 billion shillings in taxes from infrastructure bonds. And that's the Business Daily this morning.
All right. Once again, a reminder of our panel this morning. Wilson Sossion, a veteran educationist and also a unionist, will be in studio alongside Dr. Peter Mbaye, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP, and political analyst Josephat Kamanya in a few minutes' time. But before that, okay, also a reminder of the other conversation we'll be having later on the show.
Once again, being a Thursday, we are speaking about health. Dr. Harrison Barry will be here kutuambia matters prostate and colon cancer in men.
All right. Before we take a break, cartoonist wanasema nini? Wachoraji wametoa nani leo? Sura ya nani kupale amechorwa leo? We'll start off with a cartoon on the Daily Nation. Ile mtu amechorwa leo ni ule jamaa wa DCI, Amin Mohamed. Amekalia simu ndani na anatumia ile magnifying glass. Huko kuna watu wengine wako na mask na wanatembea na magari makubwa kama zinakaa kama Subaru na huko na vitu ya surveillance. Na hii ni mobile phone. Alafu anasema Media House was wrong on DCI phone surveillance. Media House hawezi kuja tu from nowhere na waseme hizi vitu zinachunguzwa. But anyway, ni sawa. Hiyo ndio cartoon. Ako ndani hapo kwa simu anachungulia ndani na magnifying glass, alafu anasema media was wrong. Wewe koma kabisa.
This is a standard now, speaks about integrity. President William Ruto has been caricatured here, lakini integrity imefichwa pale na some goodies in 2027. Hakuna
integrity. Ukipewa pesa unasahau integrity. Walimu uliona vile walikuwa na celebrate huko.
Lakini simuona vile amekasirika.
Sijui kama Wilson Sossion alikuwa State House.
Atatuambia.
Walikuwa na celebrate wakaanza kusema Tutam. Very interesting.
All right, this is the Star by-election politics. By-election seats scramble. It's a scramble here between Kalonzo Musyoka, caricature, according to the caricature. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the President mwenye amekalia very big seats hapa mbili kwanza, and then finally the former Prime Minister.
Yeah, everyone anajaribu ku get as many seats as possible. Hata huyu jamaa anajaribu kushikilia viti vitatu pamoja.
Vitatu, yes.
23 by elections, those are so many. And you know, in fact, we won't look at them at ilikuwa MCA, ilikuwa MP, ilikuwa Senate. Tasema tu out of 23, how many did your party get? Sasa ile chama itatokea na namba kubwa, tuseme 15 out of 23, tasema hao ndio wenyewe. That's the cartoon on the Star. Finally, the People Daily. Kuna jamaa anataka kutoka mbio, lakini kuna obstacles kwa ile race. Yeye anasema obstacle is what you see when you remove your eyes from the goal. The biggest obstacle here, impeachment 2027 election. Ule jamaa wa Mlima anaitwa Rigathi Gachagua. That's a cartoon on the People Daily. All right.
Do interact with us on our socials at TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Anna_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
Right. My handle on X is at Fred Indemuli. See you after the break.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water.
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa,
recommended by CEBs.
An alarming picture of misappropriation of public funds is emerging following a verification exercise in schools that uncovered 50,000 ghost learners in secondary schools across the country.
We have found that more than 50,000 students so far were not there before.
This is serious. This is very serious.
Where do they exist, these schools? And who knows them?
Appearing before the Parliamentary Education Committee, Education Principal Secretary Julius Bitok told the lawmakers that the cleanup is being conducted through the National Education Management Information System NEMIS, with data from schools being compared with records from sub-county directors of education before capitation funds are released.
And how we are doing it, we are picking the data in NEMIS. We get the data from the schools digitally, and we get the data from sub-county directors of education. We compare the three. Once the three agree and reconcile, then we are able now to send capitation. That's why capitation is moving slightly slowly, because We want to get it right.
So far, more than 60% of the 32,000 schools have been verified, translating to 17,400 institutions. This includes 5,795 primary schools, 5,225 junior schools, 5,732 secondary schools, and 648 special schools.
Those schools that you have verified, does it tally with the original? How many false data have you found, or what is called cost students and cost schools? How many have you found in the data that you have cleaned up to now?
I cannot clearly confirm or deny the fact that there could be schools, because we are still dealing with a lot of data. And when you are dealing with a lot of data, you need to be very accurate. And I wouldn't want to mislead the committee in any way. I want to give very accurate position. So as at now, we can't confidently say there's a ghost school. We can't say that.
The exercise, expected to conclude by Friday, will give the government an accurate picture of enrollment numbers and student account details after concerns were raised over inflated registers in some schools.
Asanteni sana. Our meeting is over. Asante.
With 50,000 ghost learners exposed and the search for ghost schools still on, the Ministry of Education now faces its toughest test to restore integrity in funding of education. Andrin Kilemi, TV47 from the Parliament buildings.
Yes, matters education may not be featuring prominently on the front pages today, but there are a lot of discussions around education matters, and we've not even forgotten the teachers were in State House at the weekend, and that's still a controversial discussion. The Standard has chosen to go with a rather shocking revelation: Shylock economy. It's a big one on the front page of the Standard this morning, just talking about the kind of debt that Kenyan families and households are engaging and committing to, and where it's leading them. Daily Nation today has gone with a celebratory headline: Queens of the Track, a tribute to the 4 Kenyan female athletes who have won Kenya 4 gold medals so far at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Paris Jepchirchir, Faith Kipyegon, Beatrice Chebet, and Faith Cherotich, leaving Kenya second in the medals table. The Star's gone with the matters corruption: governors to face EACC over dubious county hustler funds. Taifa Leo goes with matters premature politics and the involvement of cabinet secretaries in politics as well. The People Daily choosing to question whether or not the Gen Zs will vote along tribal lines come 2027. But inside, and I think it's only the Star that has this on the front page: education. Learning disrupted as varsity dons begin nationwide strike. That's definitely a big discussion, and it's there on the inside pages. I just wanted to go through some of the education-related headlines this morning. On page 6 of the Daily Nation, why TSC requires master's degrees for principals and deputies. Page 7, lecturer strike now disrupts learning for first-year students. Same page, 50,000 ghost learners exposed. Taxpayers lose 1.1 billion shillings annually. Matters education. Yes, on the Standard, something similar as well. That's how you realize that, yes, education is still key. Page 2, learning in university paralyzed as Dawn's staff strike over arrears. If we move on to page 5, ongoing audit reveals billions lost on more than 50,000 ghost learners. Invitations out as more than 64,000 teachers fight for promotion slots. And on the same page, an interesting story about education. Excitement as man takes goat to pay college fees. This is a 21-year-old man who surprised tutors and learners at the Kitela Kapel Technical Training Institute in West Pokot after he took a goat to pay for his tuition fees. That's how bad things are. This morning we're privileged to have with us political analyst James Kamanya. Karibu sana, James. Next to Kamanya we have Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist, unionist, who has also served as member of the National Assembly. Bwana Sosion, karibu sana.
Good morning.
Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs, DCP, also joins us this morning.
Good morning.
Gentlemen, I know we'll talk about politics, but there are other things, and you can see the number of headlines that are centered on matters education today. There are quite a number, not on the front pages, but things that need to be discussed anyway. Kamanya, we talked about this over and over, especially when we have younger panelists here. that this administration and Kenya as a whole appears to be taking matters education more casually as the days go by. Lecturers are on strike. 50,000 ghost learners exposed just like that, so casually, before a parliamentary committee. We see teachers and unionists in that profession heading to State House to receive tokens and get promises that are not even backed by law. And promises made by the president about capitation money, that yes, it will go back to 22,000 shillings when, according to what we see from Treasury, it's gone down to 15,000 shillings. What is happening to us when we come to discussing education matters?
Well, thank you, Fred, and a very good morning to all our viewers today. Indeed, we are in a very sad state when it comes to matters education. Knowing very well that education is an equalizer, and knowing very well that in the modern society where we are, we need to be discussing actually the change of curricula and how to match that with industry, and more so streamline our education system. But there seems to be a blatant and very deliberate attack on our education system by this regime, because the kind of scandals we are experiencing are unprecedented, according to me. And they seem to be very deliberate. One would wonder, is it a threat that they feel from an empowered youth, given the Gen Z revolution that we are having now? Or is it just lack of care and love of the nation? Because the nation is the people. Such that they do not care for much, because we see a lot of allocation of resources into other sectors. There are areas where they are thriving in terms of funding and facilitation, but when it comes to education, we see that taking a backseat. And yet we know this is a major service. It's one of the core functions of the government. You know, we talk of education, health, infrastructure, but it's very saddening, I must say. And also now to see, as you rightly put it, the recent hosting of the call them the teaching fraternity, including the unionists and all that, at the State House by the president. And again, misuse of resources, because the money that was spent that day, not less than 200 million, is almost the double the amount that is allocated to a single constituency in the name of NGCDF for an entire year. So if indeed there was goodwill to uplift the learning instruments, the learning systems, to support the personnel accordingly of our education sector, that would happen. But I see it primarily just an element of poor leadership, and we are in for dark days. Because when you hear of allocation of resources to a hot air school, a school that does not exist, we cannot even talk about a hospital that does not exist. That is even worse. When you hear about ghost students, and you know in this day and age, we even do a census of human beings to know how many people are in this country. Are they trying to tell us they don't have a census of students, of pupils, of facilities? You know, it is outright corruption. And is somebody sitting somewhere manipulating the system, doing the wrong thing knowingly, allocating resources knowingly that are going to benefit individuals? And I wonder, Fred, and one must, and I hope all Kenyans that we are going to have this conversation, because in every sub-county, there's a district officer, education officer, who knows about the schools that are existent. Every year we've been having exams, even now we're in the throes of preparing for our end of year exam. So schools are known, how many they are, how many students they have. So this is organized crime. We must rise up as Kenyans and fight this financial terrorism that we are having in the country.
Right.
Yes.
Are we missing the point, Bwana Sosion, when it comes to education, that there are many crucial conversations that need to be had? How do we fund university education or tertiary education? You just seen a story about someone going with a goat to try and pay for their TVET school fees. The issue of teacher shortages, the issue of the curriculum that we've talked about before, the issue of capitation, that those conversations, we're not having them at a proper level, and instead now we've been reduced to tokenism, promises to teachers, promises to increase capitation money without even backing by the budgetary processes. Where is the disconnect?
No, I think at this point we are misrepresenting facts and blowing issues out of proportion. We must accept that education sector was disorganized for over the last 10 years during Jubilee administration. Remember when the laptop project was introduced and it never worked, curriculum reforms that were unstructured and when you look at real figures, in 2013, Kenya was still #1 in Africa in global competitiveness, according to the World Bank, in terms of access and quality. And by 2020, we had dropped down to below number 20. So those are facts. So the road in education went on systematically for a long time. And when we were preparing the president for his elections in 2022, we did deep analysis of education sector and came up with a master plan on how to bring education back to the rail. The president signed an education charter that was specific on funding, specific on policy realignment, specific on review of the curriculum, specific on legislation, and there is a pending session of paper that is flowing from the Presidential Working Party that looked into many things and engaged in public consultation. What we realized is that public consultation and public participation was limited in conceiving certain policies. But fast forward to where we are, and I will begin with the high-level policy meeting between the president and teachers. That was a policy.
Was it a policy meeting, really?
Yes, a policy meeting, and
we do expect an important policy paper from there.
That is well within the ILO UNESCO framework. It's happening for the first time. That is why some people are not reading exactly what is happening. There was a lot of work that went into preparation of memorandum, preparation of papers, briefing the president, discussing and agreeing on the way forward. And those teachers you saw at State House are elected leaders, representatives of union members and their associations, and of course they discussed quite a number of draft of issues, but prior to that a lot has been done. One, the president recalibrated the teaching force of this country by addressing quite a number of issues. One, their stability in terms of abolishing delocalization. Two, their work overload by ensuring that additional teachers, and the gap actually is bridged, and currently we are at 100,000 in 3 years, and something that is never, very phenomenal, that has never happened since independence, to hire such a significant number of teachers on permanent and pensionable terms, but beginning with the internship for 1 year, then converted to PNP. I was in that space that negotiated that particular flagship and key thing. And then number 3, recalibrating the curriculum, both in terms of structure and content. And we agreed curriculum, you can't throw it out, subjected to constant review. And so the subject areas that were so wide at all levels were reduced downwards. And then number 2, the JS, grade 7, 8, and 9, that was supposed to be domiciled in the secondary schools, that it could have caused a lot of congestions, inconveniences, and many things. And that was going to invite fee structures to households in Kenya. That was abolished. And now, once the sessional paper is adopted, all our schools, there will be nothing called a secondary school, nothing called a primary school. There will be comprehensive school that will house grade
does it take?
1 to 9,
I'm using your
closer to the households.
Allow me to ask this question, because you yourself has described it as a rot in the education sector. In your own
the rot that was there.
The rot in the education sector.
That was there.
You've talked about the education Presidential Task Force on Education Reforms, which was formed the very first, or among the very first directives or institutions formed by the president after he took office. This is 3 years, and yes, we've just been covering 3 years of the president. What went wrong? 3 years down the line?
Now, 3 years down the line.
How long does it take to change this?
3 years down the line, when the president was engaging the teacher leaders, in fact, the milestones of all these achievements have been looked at, and the gaps that exist thereupon. Grade 7, 8, and 9 is now functional and domiciled within the comprehensive school. And all what is needed is a sessional paper to actualize, so that we have quality improvement in terms of structures and consolidation of comprehensive schools. That will convert the current primary schools, which are closer to the household, to quality schools that offers teaching and learning from grade 1
50,000
to 9,
ghost learners.
without inviting additional costs. The challenges that have come out, because let's go to the challenges. And in this show, Fred, I kept saying what the Ministry of Education requires is strong auditing and strengthening the quality assurance so that we can get rid of, we can ensure that there are clear accountability structures in terms of many things. I raised my concerns about wiring capitation money without auditing. And what has come out here is that with the verification that the ministry is now undertaking before releasing money, actually there exist ghost students that have been used to wire money to schools. It is a serious thing and it's the right thing for the ministry. I think we should laud the ministry for undertaking verification and giving us information openly. And if there are ghost schools, they will still tell us. This is the right thing to do. It is what you and I have been discussing here. Can we have accountability of all the money that goes to the education? But back to the teacher's visit with the president. It's codified within UNESCO. And this is the first president to engage directly.
You call it a policy meeting?
Specific issues, yes, because one, the review of collective bargaining, which is earning to teachers, will definitely be reduced. That means teachers will earn more in terms of the rights to educators. Number two, the number of teachers to be promoted, which was discontinued by the previous administration. Remember, I was the SG at that time, and I had very serious standoffs on the same. And President William Ruto resumed the promotion of teachers, which, of course, numbered very significantly 25,000 every year. And upon engagement with the teachers last Saturday, it is agreed that the number is going to be double to 50,000. That's a big incentive to the teaching force. And when unionists and teachers representatives negotiate and engage and they make such gains, I think it is going to be very impactful to the teachers. Other things, including the right to access housing within the housing framework that is developing. Yes. Those are a wide range of rights. But then on education policy issues, the issue of capitation, I think the president has made it clear that it's going to be sorted out within the next 2 financial years, and that Treasury and the ministry should meet and streamline all that. So I think flowing from that meeting, there are a lot of take-home issues that are going to improve education.
Is it really a policy meeting or tokenism? And hold that thought.
It is a policy meeting.
Hold that thought. We'll be back to discuss this because some of the pronouncements made
those political pundits who want to paint it as
do not
political,
necessarily have
I think are mistaken.
Legal backing. A promise for 20% of all houses from affordable housing program. Well, we know that there is the Affordable Housing Act. How does that work? Adding capitation money, that's subject to budget-making process by the parliament. So what happens when the president makes such pronouncements 2 months after the budget has been passed? We'll be back to continue this discussion on education after the break.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get this.
Welcome back. You're still watching Modern Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. I'm still in studio with Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, Dr. Peter Mbai, and James Kamanya. We started off with examining some of the headlines, mostly negative, about the education sector. And Bwana Sosion describes, says the rot is gone, and describes the meeting at State House Nairobi as a policy meeting. Bwana Mbai, you've seen this, and we don't need to go back to the headlines we've seen.
Yeah.
But if you focus on what the meeting at State House was between the president and the teachers, would you describe it as a policy meeting? We heard the pronouncements made by the president, and I've raised the questions about the legal framework that could back some of the pronouncements he made on housing, on matters capitation, which is still subject to budgetary processes and other things. How would you describe our approach, especially the president's approach towards rectifying issues or remedying issues that are going wrong in education? Is it really proactive or simply tokenism?
Thank you, Fred. You asked a question, that what happens when the president makes such pronouncements? It is very sad, because from a perspective of leadership and governance, there is nothing, no structure, no nothing. You cannot call that a policy meeting. Surely, you don't do policy meetings in such a manner. You don't do that. Imagine we have like 20 sectors in the government, 20 sectors, mining, sports. You know, now this is just a subsector, because those teachers, they are not TVET teachers here. There are no university lecturers here. That is just one sector. We don't have ECD. We don't have, so you cannot say that not the president is having meetings of every sector to go and do have policy meetings at State House.
Meetings, yeah.
Fred, that is a mismatch. We are having a problem. People who are learning this government, who are still stuck in politics. 3 years later, there is a difference between politics, leadership, and governance. We have never moved on. I want you to compare and contrast the system of governance we are having here, or lack of it, and what Kibaki did. I want you just to compare. Would you imagine anything like in Kibaki's life? What would Kibaki have done? Is simply to call the minister, agree on what needs to be done at a policy level, and then tell the minister, go and implement. So that is something that was supposed to be done by the minister and the PS. And by the way, not now, the first quarter after elections. You don't begin planning such things now. It's late. Fred, already it's late. People have given up, and they can tell you from the personality of the president, nothing is going to change. That's what happens. See, you cannot... Once you talk about government, Fred, we talk about processes and systems and procedures, right? So you need to have a plan. Let me say this again. By the time you're elected, MCA, MP, governor, senator, women rep, or the president, you must have a plan where you are looking for the votes. You should implement it. Some policy issue should be done within 90 days. Completely done, because it's a policy issue. Then we begin implementation. By now, Fred, we should be talking about how far has it worked. But here we are, a political career in State House. Imagine the dignity of teachers. Fred, teachers, don't joke with teachers. The dignity of teachers alone. They are kept there. They are told to queue for another 24 hours waiting for 10,000, right? And they are forced to sing some slogans there for them to get the money. We are joking with one of the most serious institutions in this country. All governments in the world exist to do 3 things: education, health, and security. Now, we are failing one of the major. Now, look at this. Look at the statistics. The 50,000 ghost learners, this scandal came out about a month ago, if you remember, from the Auditor General. It's not the ministry who said it. It's the Auditor General who flagged up this. 14 years, if I remember well. We were here with you. For the last 14 years. So what we expected, Fred, before they talk about audit, anybody who was involved in this money, from the PS, from the minister then, the PS should by now be out of work. Berio Kipsang should be out. He was flagged as a hero, right? And he stayed there for many years. He should be out. So that investigations can continue. Anybody who is traced to that money, don't come and tell us you are doing 50,000 ghost learners. We want to know for 14 years, where has the money gone? That's what's important. But now, we don't want to be massaged. Oh, we can't account for 50,000. You are telling us that you've been in this country. People who are responsible should be into the dock, number one. Number two, 1 billion should be recovered. People should go home. But we are not serious about anything. Fred, we are not serious about these ghost things because we know who took the money. And we actually trying to find out whether these schools were used for the 2022 general elections. Because most likely they were used to rig elections and all that. The other issue, Fred, quickly, is that So because we're not serious about corruption, about anything, then something else happens. This morning, we woke up to the news. First-year students reported. You saw a video. One lecturer just woke up. I don't know which university. And he told the learners, just go back, go. You can see the dejection. You can see. Some mothers have sold cows and goats. These are first year. They don't know about these kind of things. Then the lecturer comes. I think there were about 1,000 students. Then he tells them, just go back. Look at that. Where do you start with that young person? Can I tell you what? The amount of money they're looking for is 10.5 billion. Okay? The amount of money that has been put as a confidential vote in the office of the president, the office of the deputy president, the head of public service, and the prime cabinet secretary is 5 billion in this year alone. That is money that is dished out every Friday. Because that's money you don't need anything, accountability. Only 5 billion in the confidential vote alone. I've not said any other places where money has gone to. The money you see being dished out is money that should have taken up, be given to the lecturers. Can you imagine today, it's no longer attractive to go and teach at the university. People have not been paid. Part-time lecturers have not been paid. So even if myself, I would want to go and take 2 units, for example, because of my background, to just go give back to society, because of my experience in government, I can't, because it's not attractive. So what are we saying? We have killed one of the most important institutions in this country. We are not serious about education. Look at the GOAT person. Look, we have been saying, and this is a policy issue, administrative issue. You don't need to go to State House. Corrupts all this money, right? Let education be free all the way to TVET, because much as we are talking about university, we have so many young people who don't score C+. They need to be supported in the TVETs, but they are left to go dry. These are young people who are looking for education. Why are we not able to do it? Because we don't want to mess up. We want to preach them peace. We don't want to corrupt the education bursaries. We are not ready to govern. That's what I can tell you. We were not ready to govern. I mean, the people in this country are not ready to govern.
The kind of conversation that happened at State House, and you had the issues and the pronouncements made by the president, that is what informs, because this is from the top leadership, that is what informs the kind of approach this administration has towards education. What do you make of that? The president's pronouncements vis-a-vis the lip service paid to some of the issues that you're facing in the education sector?
Well, it's simply an affront on our constitution. And I hope Kenyans are not failing to read the bad handwriting that Sosion is presenting today, because the president was out of order, in my opinion. All the 10 promises he made are all catered for in our constitution. They are organs, instruments that are meant to deal with matters education. And if indeed it was a constitutional policy-making meeting, we should have had a ministerial statement following that, which we haven't, and I doubt we will. We have the TSC to deal with matters of promotion and retirement of teachers. We have the unions to deal with matters of the welfare of teachers, so like the discussion they had around the insurance and all other stuff. So it is an affront on our constitution. We must call out the misconduct of the leadership that we are having in the country today. Because one thing we must realize, Fred, is that education is not just about today. It's about the future of the students or the learners who are in classes today. And the moment we start mishandling that, remember, as a country, we rate highly, maybe depending on whom you talk to, it could be number 4 or number 7 in Africa in terms of matters literacy. So you have to feel the threat that in 5-10 years or after that, we're going to have a lot of a population that is not well educationally equipped. Why? Because of the mishandling of our institution, facilities, and personnel today. As you rightly put it, it is a policy issue. It is a goodwill and leadership issue. When I see a president assuming a mandate that constitutionally is not his, he should have been there just maybe to back up the ministerial statement, the ministerial engagement, if there was a need for consultation in the teaching fraternity, just to put a capping on whatever resolutions may have been done before. But to come out and say that it was a policy-making meeting of 10,000 people, and yet we don't even have 1 million teachers in this country. So you see also the ratio. You talk of representative samples. That is not appropriate. So according to me, the president is politicizing. Because remember, before that day, he had hosted scores of other 10,000 from other quarters in this in the industries, you know. So you had people from various counties, from various before that you had the football fraternity, but There is nothing wrong with engaging population, but let's not play politics with very essential key services and mandates of the government. So according to me, it is an affront on our constitution.
And even as we continue with this conversation, allow me now to introduce the politics of it, because there were chants of Tutam at that, what Bwana Sosion calls a policy meeting at State House. Yes. There were chants of Tutam.
Right.
Now, President Ruto is also already talking about his record and saying it will earn him Tutam. It is part of the stories covered here at TV47. Ruto saying my record will earn me Tutam. Let's watch that story.
On the second day of his development tour of the coastal region, President William Ruto pitched tent in Mombasa County. Here, amidst the launching of several projects, the president lay faith in his development track record, arguing that it will propel him back to office come 2027.
We must compete on ideas. We must compete on a vision. We must compete on transforming the nation. We cannot compete on how we are going to divide our nation and how ethnicity is going to take center stage in our politics.
The president, whose leadership has come under sharp criticism from the opposition outfit led by his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua, also chose to hit back, labeling the opposition's brand of politics as noisy and devoid of substance.
Haina maana migawanyiko, haina maana malumbano, na kama hauna sera, kama hauna mpango, kama hauna taratibu yoyote, wacha kutusumbua, kwa sababu hii inchi haiwezi kupelekwa mbele na migawanyiko na panyanga na ekaya za abunuwasi.
And our ethnicities, our religions should not defeat the project of creating a united Kenya, na hiyo ndio inafanya hawa wananchi waseme Tutam. Ama namna gani?
Leaders accompanying the president on the tour have hailed Ruto's steadfastness amidst tough socio-political issues he has faced since assuming office.
Hii ndio thamani ya kuwa mumeweza kuwa na subira na viongozi wenu. Haya mambo tungelikuwa sisi kazi yetu ni kupigana na kuwa ni wenye kuzorotana, tungelikuwa leo hatuna reli hapa.
Among the notable projects launched by the president was the Mombasa Commuter Railway, which is expected to ease the cost of transport for commuters who arrive at the SGR station in Mombasa.
The commissioning of the Mombasa Commuter Rail is more than a local convenience. It is a symbol of our past, a solution for our present, and a promise for the future.
The government of Dr. William Ruto has many firsts in the coastal region. Your Excellency, mambo mengi zamani tulikuwa tunaona wengine tu wanafanyiwa. Sasa hivi tunayaona yakifanywa maeneo haya ya jimbo la Pwani. Si ni kweli?
The president's messaging in Mombasa now further pits him against the opposition in what promises to be a protracted political showdown as the country heads towards upcoming by-elections in November. Sydney Chazima, TV47.
The president's tone of voice and pronouncements sounding more and more political, sounding more and more like he sounded back in 2022 when he was running for president. And you hear even his cabinet secretaries talking, and they all sound like they're in campaigns. It is a question being asked on the front page of Taifa Leo. Kazi au siasa? Mawaziri na maspika wa bunge watumia muda na marasimali nyingi kwa vikao vya umma. Bwana Sosion, even as we continue talking about the matters of education and the approach, should we probably just excuse the president and accept that, yes, it is less than 24 months to the elections, he has definitely begun his campaigns, even the pronouncements he made about education matters, it is purely about political campaigns, and now this is what we see going forward. Tusiuliza maswali mengi sana, ni siasa tu.
I think, Fred, let us not get bogged down in trying to look at the politics of our country negatively. And when the president engages in serious work, it is rubbished and labeled as politics. I think fundamentally that is wrong. Ranging from the meeting with teachers, why I call it a policy meeting? Policy issues were discussed. And the president gave teachers a moment of intervention to raise questions, to raise issues, to point out, to make policy proposals, and he responded to the policy proposals. Who is going to implement? The Ministry of Education. Was the minister there? Yes. Was the PS at the meeting? Yes. They're the ones who organized the meeting. They're the ones who prepared the memoranda. They're the ones who briefed the president. Was the Teacher Service Commission there? Yes. They will implement matters to do with the welfare of teachers. So fundamentally, that is a policy meeting according to ILO UNESCO recommendations on the status of teachers, which I think all Kenyans should know. It's only that it has been missing. It is President Ruto who has come forward to say, let me meet these leaders so that we have a discussion on urgent issues that touches on the welfare of educators and those which touches on teachers. The other thing, and this is
Chance of Tutam at the policy meeting?
The political and democratic rights of teachers. That was granted. The other thing, I want you, Fred, to know that teachers have political rights. And I campaigned globally, and we encourage teachers to engage in political action and activities of the day and align with the political organizations that are ready to protect their rights. And so, if teachers chanted instead of Tutam, that is well within their decision.
And that was my question.
And by the way, when we look at political contribution by labor movement, and I want you to know President William Ruto for 3 years has engendered himself to the framework of labor unions in this country. He negotiated with them on the deductions that were envisaged. That was negotiated with the labor unions, and is the only president who has addressed the ILO conference in Geneva, meaning he has taken time to understand and allow the democratic engagement of workers. When you look at this country, the freedom fighters of this country and the liberation of Africa, it was done through organized group unions and professional organizations, and teachers of this country participated
and that's the
in
question
the struggle
I asked.
for independence.
Should we just accept that it is less than 24 months to the next election,
Kibaki,
and everything we're doing now is simply political
Kibaki
campaigns?
To be elected, and free education for that matter to come to this country, was an agreement between Kenya National Union of Teachers.
I think we're in agreement, Bwana Sosion.
I think we're in agreement. And so teachers engaging in political activities of the day is a right, and therefore building a chemistry and a bond with the president, and unanimously agreeing that the president is doing the right things in the education sector, and therefore he deserves 2 terms, and they pronounced it in front of the president. Right. Is their own right.
And shouldn't that therefore be the understanding?
Their political
Thank you, Bwana Sosion. Shouldn't that therefore be the understanding generally across the country that we're already in the campaign period, we're already in campaign mode, we do not need to question the CSs engaging in campaigns, we do not need to question the pronouncements by the president whether or not they have any legal backing, we do not need to question even the trooping of delegations into State House, even from different professions. We should just understand that this is a political campaign mode that we've already engaged in, and we should proceed like that, and do not take it seriously. We should not call that meeting at State House a policy meeting. It was simply campaigns.
Very quickly, I'm listening to you, Fred, and I'm thinking very quick things. Number one, the president may have had a lot of political experience since 1982, but he has never had governance experience. He doesn't know how to run a country. So, to him, everything is politics. Since 2013, President Ruto has been on the roof of the car. Every time he's sworn in, since when he was a deputy, he's going around. Remember the Tanga thing? He's always around doing politics across, of course, hidden under development tours. Now, unfortunately, you could be forgiven because being a DP, you can say yes, helping the president to go and, monitor the programs on behalf of the president. Now you are the president. And still, instead of sitting down and just doing things, maybe after 3 years, I remember very well in 2007, Kibaki left State House 6 months to the general elections. That's when he went for campaigns. And that is a mentor, that is a guy we are all looking up to. Now, this is, when I hear things like Tutam, the respect I have for teachers, I feel so sad. Reduced to school children to go dancing. You know when you find children on the road and you have sweets, you can give sweets and then they say, 1 term, 2 term, But these are teachers. These are leaders of unions who we respect a lot, even in the villages. Teachers are feared and respected at the same time. So what is happening here, quickly, I'll tell you now. The president have this idea. He wants to get everybody across State House and put everybody in a political mood because he's in a perpetual mood of politics. I tell you this today. Last year around May, when I remember we presented what needs to be done and it was put on the shelf, humiliation started and frustration. That's when I knew anything about delivery and development was shelved. We are now on a political mood. Unfortunately, I can tell you because I'm an expert on delivery. That was it. So right now, what he's doing, he wants to capture everyone. Teachers here, every other sector, everybody come, so that he is finally the big man, and he is worshipped towards 2027. Now, when I hear people like Joho saying, these things we used to see them being done elsewhere, they are now done to our area. That is very wrong. I can tell you, development should be done across the country, 47 counties by all the ministers doing the same work. But now it's tokenism. It's when I think, where can I galvanize votes? Let me go to Homa Bay, right? Let me go to Nyanza for four counties. Let me skip Mount Kenya. That's where you see Mau roads. All the roads in Nakuru, all the roads in Mount Kenya, they are all stored. I can tell you. There are roads that already have potholes. The contractor has not been paid for 6 months. They are there, all of them. But you can see fresh projects like 10, 20 billion. 60 billion actually were removed from Mount Kenya all the way to Nyanza. Now, what do you call that? It's all politics, but I can tell you this. Kenyans are going to suffer. We have lost a very big opportunity. We lost a big opportunity that we could have gotten this country to move it forward. Why? We have allowed politicians to run the government. They have no idea about governance. It's about ping pong, whatever happens and whatever doesn't happen. I like the big English by my senior here, Association, about policies and all those kind of things. It all amounts to one thing, Fred. This is tokenism. This is bribery happening in State House. Using money that was supposed to go for capitation, that was supposed to pay lecturers, that is the money that has been put into confidential vote so it can be removed and dished out to people. It is sad. People are watching. There is no money for share. There is no money. You remember the money for housing levy? It's too much. They don't know what to do with it. Now, let me tell you, when you come and tell teachers, I'm going, I will, look at that. This is a one-man syndrome. That had died during the market time. Teachers come, they are promised 20% of the houses. It's a moving target. People who go and pray, the footballers, they are promised the houses. Then who? Police. 10-20%. Somebody yesterday was asking, they are being deducted money, for example. So they were asking, can you then join ourselves into some group? We go get our share because the 100% will go. Every group will be given their share, then there will be no share.
Right.
It's a scam. Share is a scam. Housing levy is a scam. Things are being done by one person.
Right.
There's no consultation. Yeah. So that is the sad state of affairs in this country 3 years later, but unfortunately, from where I sit, nothing is going to get better.
And now we appear to have removed the clear line between policy and politics. And now there's a lot of grey.
Yes.
That when Association believes a political meeting like the one that was at State House was a serious policy meeting. But what are the risks, therefore, that you're looking at? Because the front page of the day, Taifa Leo questions how cabinet secretaries are now openly engaging in politics. And they have there on the front page Alice Wahome, the one in charge of housing, and I think lands. Yes. Waziri wa Afya Aden Duale, Waziri wa Usalama Kitaifa Onesmus Kichumba Murkomen, na Waziri wa Fedha John Mbadi. All of them engaging in politics. You've heard what the mining CS Joho was talking about.
Yes.
Have we gotten there, that now there's no clear distinction between policy and politics, and for the next 23 months or so, this is going to be the nature of our discussions?
Well, not just for the next 3 months or so.
23 months, I'm saying.
Yes, 23 months, you are right. That's what I meant to say, that it's not just 3 months, it's almost 2 years. It is unfortunate that we have been reduced to politics, and the politics are running very high octane currently, but understandably so, because this is the one government, one regime that is highly unpopular. It grew very unpopular very fast. We created it, we organized it, we prepared it, we voted for it, and we got it into office. But it started failing very early on delivery. The deliverables that Kenyans anticipated were not coming through.
Incidentally, all three of you are in UDA at some point.
Yes. I take full responsibility, and I apologize. But again, I'm very happy Because but I digress, Fred. If we had not done that, just play out this scenario, assuming Azimio had won, we would be saying the next best coming president is one William Ruto in 2027. So we would have wasted a whole 10 years because, in my opinion, the reason I supported William Ruto, I believed BAMBA was not an option. So if BAMBA had won for 5 years, assuming, then Ruto comes in 2027, we would have wasted another 5 years. So I'm very grateful we had an opportunity to make our mistakes early enough, and we have an early opportunity come 2027, 10th of August, to correct that mistake. Rightly so, having said that, this government has now narrowed down to mobilizing the civil servants into a campaign mode. And that's why you see everywhere you turn, any civil servant is praising, glorifying corruption, defending incompetence from the government. That's the order of the day. It's a clarion call from the president. They must do that. It's either you shape up or ship out. And that's why you even hear my friend here, Sosion, defending what I call incompetence. He's an educationist, and I understand that he knows more about policies around education. But what I would ask is, given the preparatory mode that was happening towards 22, in terms of preparing the president into office, and matters education that were then discussed and policies that were brainstormed upon, if we compare that with the outcome we are having today, would he be satisfied? Because Kenyans are clearly saying there's a disconnect. We have everything on paper correct. We've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Even our constitution is impeccable on this continent, even in the world. But when it comes to implementation, that is where we go wrong. Then today, what we are struggling with is constitutionalism. If only the president would allow the constitution to work, leave the work of the ministries, departments, and agencies to run as they should, and then cut down on misappropriation of funds, then this country would thrive. So I still go back to one thing. The buck stops with the president. It is him who has put together all this whole team of CSs who are now campaigning. They should not. We know the cabinet secretaries should be non-political at all during their tenure. Should they resign and want to run for political office? That is okay, because even most of them are coming from political offices. But again, we're talking about a regime that has been rendered illegitimate by the people. That is why you see this huge disconnect.
All right.
Yes.
When Association cabinet secretaries being involved in campaign and politics, 24 months to election date.
I don't think I've seen any cabinet secretary being involved in politics. And that is misrepresentation and misinterpretation.
Including the speakers of parliament.
Those who feel they're losing out on the 2027 race are coming up with all manner of accusations. The cabinet ministers are the policy leaders, the heads of the ministries. And the only thing I've seen are cabinet ministers communicating to the public. They can do that in the forum of the president. They can do that in their own forums. They can do that on roadsides, even if they so wish. Because under Article 10 of the Constitution, the principles and values of governance is that of public participation. And that is not defined. We don't have yet a law that guides the framework of public participation. And when cabinet ministers engage the public and communicate to the public, it is baptized political and it is demonized. How do you expect ministers to work if they don't communicate with the public? I've accompanied some ministers in events and activities across the country, and a minister is not a prisoner in a government office. That is why you're flying the flag. It's the representation of the authority of the state, and the minister is the owner of policies of the ministries, and you must communicate policies. So I don't see anything wrong. I saw Elis Wahome in Muranga communicating with the people and talking with the people. That is the right thing to do, and we are not going to limit. It is going to be wrong for this country to try, and for some of us to speak from both sides of the mouth. You are promoting the Constitution, and you are limiting others from utilizing the instruments of the Constitution to do their work. This is a country of freedom, a freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and furthermore, under Article 38 of the Constitution, all persons, it says all persons, have right to enjoy political rights. And I see those who believe and those who know that the president has connected and has struck a very perfect, strong chord with the teachers. They're accusing teachers of politicking in State House. And then I tell teachers, engage in political activities where necessary to advance your authority and to advance your influence. And if teachers at State House endorsed a two-term for President William Ruto, that is a statement from them. And that is and by the way, I was in the US with the American Federation of Teachers, a 3.2 million membership, and National Education Association, a 5 million membership. And teachers contribute their own money to mobilize and campaign for a president of their choice. And then at that time, they were campaigning for Hillary Clinton. And in 08, they were campaigning for Barack Obama. They do it. What is wrong if the teachers of Kenya do it? I did it personally in 2017 by supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. I did it in 2002 by supporting Mwai Kibaki. I did it in 07 by supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. And I supported Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013. And in 2022, it's common knowledge, I supported William Ruto as a trade unionist. We must have political positions, and we must compel political parties to give us the framework that they have for education. So my brothers here should be able to tell us the alternative policy framework that they have for education, rather than condemning teachers for engaging in a policy meeting with the president.
And that's a very valid
statement. It is a policy meeting.
That's a valid statement from Bwana Sosion. The politics, even on the other side, is already kicked off, that people are declaring their interest in the presidency and campaigning as well. So what is so wrong? Shouldn't we all accept that we are in a
also call teachers yourself
mood?
Nobody has stopped you.
Probably because of the by-elections that are coming, we're already in campaign mode.
The whole issue is, my senior here, Honorable Sosion, he said that a trade unionist should follow the politics of the day. Why did he fall out with President Uhuru Kenyatta? Because he refused to follow the politics. That's why he was kicked out. So let's be realistic what we are saying about. Because the policies then didn't favor the teachers. And he was picked out, and he was harassed, and he was kicked out of trade union. So anyway, so when you say that you follow the policy of the day,
chapter never died.
You cannot follow.
I came and supported William Ruto with our agenda, and we are here now implementing.
You know, when you find yourself, you are talking so much. The more you are talking, you are trying to prove something which is not there. That's number one. Number two, quickly. Number two, I will never apologize for voting in President Ruto. I am a structured person. I'm a leadership person. And I know what we did was the right thing then. That's why some of us accepted to work with him. Because we thought, for real, we were genuine about delivery. Number two, give somebody a chance. Always in this world, give somebody a chance. You wanted to be president? Go and kill it. But very soon, it was evident today, to 75%. Remember, you were running polls the whole of last week. About 3 years later, Ruto at 3, 75% of polls, they gave President Ruto a no. 75% out of 100. And I can tell you the numbers will get better. Why? In summary, because we have to move on. One, the person does not understand governance. Number two, he wants to kill the constitution and everything, called structured everything, to run a one-man show from State House. Ministers, PSs have no powers. The people I pity in this country is the civil service, the best in the world, but they don't have impact. Number three is that you kill all the people who are supposed to help you, like some of us, you go do frustrations and humiliation. And we thought, look here, I cannot stay there because of salary. I'll jump out and say, well, it is your government. You decided to kill it. But finally, I can tell you this. If we didn't elect President Ruto, today he'll be coming here telling us, you lost an angel. Oh, the kind of trouble we'll be having right now. You see, I told you, I had, about sports, about mining, about this. If you get a chance, it is clear he is not capable of governance. Now, somebody has sent me this. For the last 3 years, because we are doing 3 years, Fred, 10.9 trillion has gone into this government. Look at the 3 budgets. On top of the 3 budgets, we have 4.2 trillion that has been borrowed in debt. But the problem is, out of the 4.2 trillion, 3.3 trillion is illegal debt. Mm-hmm. And somebody has said, voting President Ruto for a second term is like signing a death warrant. A long-time Treasury audit decries borrowing President Ruto's government, claiming the loans violated laws 3.3 trillion. So the question people are asking, if 3 years you can do 4.2, where nobody sees where the money is, Mau Road is not there. The road from Kongoni all the way to Tangitano, all the way to Jogoi Nakuru is not there. My D366 road connecting Rongai to Bukia Bahati has not been paid. Yet all that money has gone illegal debt. To pay what? To come and pay teachers. That money is the one that is fielding all this economic empowerment stuff and going and all that. My consolation is this. Right now, if you look at the stories coming up now, that's where I want to add. Malawi has just voted out its first-term president. The power of the people is real. The president of Malawi, the opposition candidate is at 58% now. The president of Malawi is at 22%. That is what we are doing practice for in 2027. For the goodness of this country, we did our best, but unfortunately the person we were helping was not able because of his other ideas. Unfortunately, I'm asking all Kenyans, Fred, through this media today, please let us calm down. It's painful economically. People are suffering. People are borrowing from everywhere. You borrow here, it falls due. So you borrow here to pay this, then hope the other month these are going to get better. It is that serious. Let's just hope we gave him a chance. He will never say before God he will not give him a chance. But one thing I want to say, all the public policies, things like NHF, things like SHA, for Executive Order number 1, we are going to remove them. We are going to scrap housing levy. We are going to restore the payslip. We are going to return NHIF and upgrade it. Those are things we want to tell Kenyans we are going to do. It is a mess. 3 years later, nothing is going to change. And before we even get to 2027, there's an even bigger problem in November 27. 23 by-elections coming up. Let's focus on that for now. So far, the IEBC has asked for 1 billion shillings to run the by-elections. We do have that story here. TV47, IEBC asking for 1 billion shillings for the by-elections of November 27th.
It is resolved.
Appearing before the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee, IEBC officials revealed the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) is facing serious financial and logistical challenges in preparing for the 24 upcoming by-elections, even as it races against time to restore public confidence in its operations. The IEBC CEO Hussein Marjan says only 16 of the by-elections have been funded to the tune of 788 million shillings. 8 others remain in limbo due to a deficit of 238 million shillings, as the total budgetary requirement stands at 1.046 billion shillings.
Because it's a thorn in the flesh. Every Kenyan wants to know, how are you planning? What are the challenges? Do you have the finances? You are now before the Public Accounts Committee.
What is the projected cost of conducting the upcoming by-elections, and how will this expenditure impact taxpayers?
We have a total of 24 by-elections. The ones that are funded are 16. And the total budget for that by-election, those 16 by-elections, 788 million. For the 8 remaining ones that have not been funded, amounts to 258 million. So in terms of total cost, we are looking at 1,046 million for the purpose of by-elections.
Further, the IEBC chairperson Erastus at the Con painted a picture of an institution strained by resource shortfalls and tight timelines, yet resolute in commitment to deliver credible polls. Even so, he reveals IEBC is in talks with Treasury over the matter, even as they prepare for 24 by-elections.
And they assured us that they'll be giving us funding for those ones as well. And so we are working with them. There's a bit of back and forth.
The Commission has announced resumption of continuous voter registration on September 29th, targeting 6.3 million new voters, 70% of whom are expected to be youth. Registration desks will be stationed at all constituency offices and 57 Huduma centers countrywide to expedite the process of the continuous voter registration.
Once we launch that process, we will give details again to the nation.
Members also raised queries on the contentious issue of delimitation of boundaries, though the Con confirmed receiving an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court, but says the Commission will give directives soon. As the clock ticks towards the much-awaited November by-elections, all eyes are on Treasury to see whether they will release funds and allow IEBC to conduct its mandate. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
By-election and the funding of the same before November 2027, but November 27th this year. But I don't want even to focus too much on the funding of the election. Right. Is what this by-election means for the political dynamics going forward. We've already decided that, and we've already discussed it, that we're already in the campaign mode. And if at all this is ahead of 2027, it means that the by-elections will even ensure that this boils over, probably. And do you think that the national level politics will affect these by-elections? And if at all, how? What does this mean for these parties, even the new ones, in some of the duels like what we see in Mbeere North, in Malava, and elsewhere?
Thank you, Fred. And just to land on the education matter, if the CSAs are very autonomous, to whom much is given, much is expected, can we also see them take responsibility where funds have been lost? CS health, CS education. Because we have not seen much of institutional responsibility. We don't see people resigning or stepping away. I wait to see how that unfolds. Now, on to the matter of the by-election and what that means, and whether the national politics are going to have a hand in all these by-elections. I think, actually, the by-election will not be more about the local areas. It's going to be a tussle of dominance by the political parties and all the players. You've already seen like the coalition of the deputies, which for me, I don't believe it's an option of leadership for this country. They're starting to struggle on how to front their candidates in various areas. Mbeere North is one of the areas where you've seen the DCP, the DP, the CCK, and also the UD, all those parties trying to see who is going to front a better, stronger candidate and hopefully win. But it is the onset. These are litmus test number one for the IEBC. You know, let's first agree, because we need to see how functional IEBC is going to be. And I really hope they're going to deliver justice to all Kenyans, because once this is, issues of funding are non-issue because they have been there all the time. You're going to hear about 40 billion come 2027. No problem, everything comes at a cost. But we need to see it functionality. So I want to see the systematic streamlining of IEBC operation through all these by-election. But on to the party politics. Remember, we are in a situation whereby we may be led by coalitions for the next maybe 10, 15, 20 years or more, until you're able to have formidable political parties that are value-based, that are policy-based, that are ideologically driven for people to identify with. So 2027 is going to be one of those election cycles where I see we may have another set of coalition coming together. That is one. Two, we have a huge fallout. What I call it was a Marito issue. We don't need to get involved in it, between the president and the impeached deputy president. And everybody is trying to see and chest thump and say, I still have it. No, I'm the one who has it, in terms of mobilizing the people. And that's why you see these by-elections mean a lot to these political parties. Like the DCP party is a new party. They would want to put their stamp in parliament, perhaps, and also in the county assemblies in other areas. We see Kalonzo Musyoka saying, I don't want to dissolve my party. I'm still, in the game. So it's not about even the local people per se, much as they deserve representation. It's a tussle between the political parties and the journey towards 2027.
And just an additional question there.
Right.
Observing DCP pulling out of the Mbeere North race, then a week later, the party leader comes and declares he's running for president. Is he trying to balance a power shift within that united opposition?
I think it's an antagonistic move. Doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. Because play it this way. If, for example, DP does not win Mbeere North, the DCP party leader will say, I told you so. You should have let me front a candidate and manage that whole process. And then if he wins, he will say, if I had not stepped away, you would have lost. So it's a very antagonistic move, according to me. And then him coming out to pronounce himself as a presidential
candidate. Ahead of the by-elections.
Ahead of the by-election. And you see you have these other premiers or principals whom he's been working with. So you wonder, at what point did they decide he is the one? Is either they have all fallen out, that's why he's stepping out by himself. One who has to wait and see. Number two, remember we are led by the Constitution. This is one thing we must remember. My leader in this country is the Constitution. Everybody else, from the president, those are my employees. I pay them by the taxes that we pay as Kenyans. So the impeached deputy president cannot run for office. And even if he did, there will be constitutional grounds to have him not sworn in. So we also have to be very pragmatic as Kenyans. Let's not fall into all these, sort of myopic political.
So you feel that declaration for him saying that he will run for president probably could serve a different purpose, not necessarily the actual running for president?
Yeah, I think it's an antagonistic move. It's sabotage because it's a coalition of deputies. They have been telling Kenyans, I don't believe they are an option, number one, remember that, but they've been telling Kenyans, we are going to agree which one of us is going to be the candidate. We have not had a collective statement from that coalition of deputies saying he's going to be the one they're going to front. Right. But he steps out and says, I'm going to be the one. Kenyans have told me, well, I respect his desire to be a president, but I do not subscribe to his kind of politics.
Yes. We've just been talking, Sosion, about how we've started the campaigns early, but probably it's been triggered by this by-election. It is one of the biggest by-elections we've ever seen in Kenya's history. 23 by-elections on one day. That's definitely huge. There's no escaping the politics this time round.
There's no escaping in politics in Kenya daily. It does happen. And there is no law that limits citizens from thinking politics and talking politics. Nothing at all. There are only regulations that guide the timelines on when to do what through the IEBC. So the coming elections, to me, it's more of a test to the IEBC itself than even the political parties. And also, I wish to state here, for avoidance of doubt, the broad-based arrangement was not created so that it becomes a window dressing outfit and an outsider in consequential activities like by-elections. These by-elections, the broad-based arrangement of government is taking it seriously and take it to the bank. Very North parliamentary seat, which was held by Honorable Ruto, the Minister for Public Service. UDA is not going to leave it to chance. We will have to take it. And indicators are clear that the UDA candidate is extremely popular for that matter. The Malava, which was held by Malulu Njendi of UDA, UDA is going to take it. Ugenya of Opio Wandai is going to go to ODM. And we can go on and on and on. So broad-based government does not only deal with matters of governance, we also deal with political foundation of our arrangement. And the political success is domiciled in the people, the voters. And that's why you must communicate to the voters. And you communicate through issues, not ethnic chauvinism and isolationism and exclusionism. It is about the policies that are espoused by the broad-based arrangement. And all these policies will be important, and it will play a critical central role in the campaigning in all the by-elections. Because you campaign on a manifesto, you campaign on issues. You don't campaign on ethnicity, you don't campaign on exclusion, and it's about advancing democracy. And when 2027 comes knocking, at that time, everything shall have built up in terms of issues. Kenya Vision 2030, and I wish to remind my brother here, it really recommends that the political pillars, within the political pillar of this country, we must promote issue-based politics. And President William Ruto is the first president to ensure that we have an inclusive government and deliberate, equitable development of all regions of the country, regardless of how people voted in the last election.
Right.
And we have seen that success. We can see the chemistry of the people. It is extremely palpable. People are feeling that we can have a country where all people can be part of government and can enjoy equitable development without exclusion of others. The previous administration, the previous 4 administrations, perfected the art of exclusion. Where you are not supported, it was blacklisted. from development, and that is inhuman.
All
It's
right.
a wrong thing, and it is what President Ruto is setting the difference. So the by-elections will be critical.
Okay.
They are platforms for advancing the
right.
current government agenda, the pillars on agriculture,
Dr.
pillar
Peter
on
Mbai.
MSME,
Yes.
pillar on ICT, housing,
Thank you, Bwana Sossion.
universal health coverage,
Two
and
questions.
all that. And finally,
Because
Fred,
of time, Bwana Sossion.
elements of corruption within the implementation of the programs, whether it is SHA or education, will be fought. And the president is extremely serious in weeding out
Thank you, Bwana Sossion.
cases of
I'll give you an
corruption.
opportunity for your final comments. You might address that there. But Dr. Peter Mbai, two questions. And this is from page 4 of the Standard. On one headline, they say opposition goes mute as Ruto beats on drum. How has this arrangement or agreements within that coalition on who should field who where affected the kind of opposition politics? Because according to this headline, matters seem to have gone a notch lower in as far as noise levels politically. Secondly, the next headline, questions emerge on the eligibility of opposition candidate in by-election, and that's the DP candidate, Newton Kariuki. According to the Speaker of the Assembly there, because he is currently a sitting MCA, he is yet to resign from his devolution empowerment party that took him to that assembly. What challenges do exist in that?
Thank you. Just very briefly, one, to answer your question, is that we are used to President Ruto being in perpetual mode of campaigns. Like I said, we are students of political history since 2013. So that's not a big issue. He'll go there, but he'll go to places where he thinks, he'll get some votes and all that. That's normal for him. So there's nothing like about opposition being mute. We are doing our own strategies. We are working in our own way. There are many ways of doing that. We are always, and by the way, we are about 10 or so, 6, 7 principals, and everyone is concerned with their own program. We are going to see a lot of activities going forward. That's normal. But I want to say this. We are united, and by-elections is going to be the first major test. We saw what we did in Bere as DCP. We simply said, this is a position that was held by DP, and after the principals consulted, the DCP party was the most popular, is the most popular in Bere right now, but our candidate was number 3. So DP party was number 3 in popularity, but the candidate, because of clan dynamics, was number 1. We are scientific and we are gentlemen, so we allowed DP to take the lead. Don't worry about the stories I've seen this morning about eligibility of Kadish and all that. Those are issues. We are going to tackle them. We are in this country. We know how systems want to try to mess. I was in Jubilee at some point, and we had to move to UDA. People went to court saying, how are you a Jubilee person, and you're moving to UDA? We had that issue. I moved to court on behalf of all the aspirants who are moving to UDA myself in the whole country. A petition that helped all the senators and everybody else who was in Jubilee and wanted to move to UDA because we were sitting members of the county assembly. And the court ruled in our favor. So we'll go and finish these things. And finally, I'll tell you this. There are so many stories going around. And we are very much focused on one thing. That every president, every party is formed to get power. That's why every party you see in the opposition coalition will go and have their own presidential candidates. We are voting for the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua as the most suited to do that. We are going to have our NDC next year, and we are going all the way until when we discover that we see all of us together, about 6 or 7 presidential candidates. They will come together and we agree what we want to agree. But I want to tell Kenyans not to hurry us. We are not in a hurry ourselves. The elections are not tomorrow. Let every party do their thing. We are going to finally come together for the best of this country and announce whoever is going to take to be our flag bearer around April, May of 2027. What I can assure you, let people relax. All the tactics, we have seen them before.
I have only 3 minutes, so I'll be very strict on this. For final words, just 60 seconds, starting with you, Bwana Kamara.
Well, for me, just to call our Kenyans, we speak truth to power. Where we see people throwing an affront on our constitution, we step up, speak up, and continue having conversations about good governance and how to propel this country forward, locally, together, and loudly.
Okay, thank you, Bwana Kamara.
The fundamental freedoms of Kenyans should not be undermined by political bitterness. And I encourage the president continue engaging Kenyans in whichever way that is possible and in whichever forum. And Kenyans who are able to engage the president at State House and out there should come out and focus on the issues that are fundamental to this country. It's about transforming the country, but it's not about glorifying individuals or an ethnic group. Kenya must transform, and it is not going to be transformed tomorrow. It must be transformed now, in the lifetime of ourselves. So what is fundamental to change the country should play a common denominator, even as we work towards 2027. And those who are panicking about 2027 should not worry. We wish them well. We will meet on the 10th of August, and they will truly believe what they are now seeing, that President William Ruto will be re-elected for a second term, not because of anything, because of the agenda and the transformation framework of the country, which Kenyans are now approving because of strong indicators of results. Then they can continue getting more confused, not knowing who even will be the presidential candidate, who to field in which. That is their own funeral. But for us, we will continue cruising the journey of transforming this great motherland of ours, Kenya.
Right. Dr. Mbai.
For record, we are fielding candidates in Barava. Yesterday, I was in the party headquarters. We gave a certificate of nomination to Magarini, our candidate Furaha Chengo. We have candidates there. We have candidates in Banisa. We are moving towards together. We have candidates in all those directions. But I can tell you, we have one goal. We are going to indicate, to give Kenyans hope about how we are going to go. And by the way, by next year, we are going to have more by-elections. There are people who are tired of being in UDA. Even from across the country, they are going to resign. They are going to go back to elections so that they can get in DCP. So those are things you are going to see. But finally, Fred, you cannot talk about fighting corruption when you are at the center of all the corrupt deals in this country, all the way from e-citizen to ghost schools, to the issues of SHA, to issues of Adani, of bombers, building hotels in forests. You cannot come and talk about it. Please stop it. Okay. Kenyans got to know you are not able, you have no capacity to govern. We are waiting. Thank you so much, Malawi. We have shown the way. One time is real in Africa. That's an example.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Mbaye, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist, unionist, and also served as member of the National Assembly, and political analyst James Kamanya. Before we wrap up, let me just take a look at some of your views online. Akala KE says, locked in. Kimboi DCI tuned in. It's Arthur, says Kirinyaga, tuko tuned. Eli Mwache alivyo following. Eliud Nandi, tuko pamoja mpaka tamati kutoka Sumbawanga, Tanzania. Wow. Nicholas Kiptun, glued from Baringo. Makori Orina, tuned in from for the best morning show on Kenyan soil. Asante sana for that. More of our feedback. Albin Kirui says, watching live from Kapkatet Factory, niko ndani kama kawaida. Amoyuzu Abel, tuned in from Kakamega. Daniel Wafula wa Bomba, good morning. Asanteni sana. This conversation definitely continues online. TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. On X, our handle is at TV47 Digital. Of course, use the hashtag MorningCafeTV47 on all those platforms. The headlines this morning. Shylock economy, that's a standard. Queens of the track, a very apt tribute to the Kenyan girls doing very well in Tokyo, Japan. Governors to face EACC over dubious county hustler funds, matters corruption on the front page of the Star. Fake 39 billion shilling supplier bills exposed in City Hall audit. Kwenye Taifa Leo wanauliza wanafanya siasa au kazi. Cabinet secretaries involved in campaigns. And on the People Daily, a very interesting question on whether or not Gen Zs come 2027 will vote along tribal lines. It is an analysis, and I think something that we'll have to discuss even here with the youth perspective tomorrow. My name is Fred Indemuli. Have a lovely day.